the most common one is no consensus. We just put those conflicts aside and keep moving. If we want to make everything clear for those kinds of issues regarding to trade, regarding to finance, regarding to education, regarding to those non-political issues, may get some trouble. So that's quite practical for KMT's position. We want to solve the problem for the people. So don't waste our time on this kind of so-called non-consensus consensus. So that's the foundation. That's still the key. Just like Americans' one China policy, it's also a non-consensus consensus. It's a creative ambiguity. That's my answer.
朱立伦这样的公开表态，显然呢比马英九时期的国民党表态后退了，显示了国民党在岛内舆论和美国态度的双重压力下，他们在变得软弱。这就是岛内选举体制下不断受选情塑造的国民党。今后的国民党很有可能对他们前辈坚守的一个中国信念打折扣，而国民党如果放弃一个中国，沦为小民进党，最终呢不但无法立足于两岸，就是在岛内也将被泡沫化。
Thank you, Susan, for your kindly introduction. And thank you, Ryan and Bonnie, for your invitation. Especially, I have to thank you, my old friend, Richard. Today is my third time in Brookings, but it's different role, different position. Even I am the chairman of KMT, but I'm opposition. We don't have the power to say something, but at least we have the right to say the future of Taiwan is a common awareness and a common interest for whole Taiwanese people. I would like to use the opportunity to draw up all your wisdom together and shed some light on Taiwan's future together. Before the public speech, we have a closed door roundtable meeting with some scholars. I thank you so much for your concern, your suggestion for us. So this time, I would like to say something about Taiwan's path forward. It's a pivotal role in the turbulent time. Nobody will see Taiwan attract so much attention after 3 decades of peace era. And today, we all know it's a turbulent time. Why it is a turbulent time? Not only because U.S.-China relation, but also the international environment changed during the past decades. You see what happened in 2016. It's Brexit. The Brexit and the populism come up surrounding the world. We can see what happened in UK, what happened in Asia countries, what happened in European countries, and what happened in the United States. 2018, we saw what happened between US-China, especially the trade war start. During the past 3 years, it's a common pandemic surrounding the world. The COVID outbreak, even today in Taiwan, is still under the serious situation. 2021 is global shipping disruption, caused a lot of trouble to all the international business and the trading issues. And this year, well, early this year, about 100 days before, what happened between Ukraine and Russia. The invasion of Russia to Ukraine not only caused the international attraction, but also tell us a big lesson, especially as Taiwanese people. What may happen someday in Taiwan Strait, or what's the tension to the international society? What about the possible or potential security or peaceful relationship between two sides? The rising of geopolitical risk during the past few years suddenly increased. We can find it, and the war in 2022 in the world. Also, we can see during the past 5 years a lot of major incidents and the process of geopolitical risk. This caused, we said that during the past 3 decades, is the most dangerous era, most dangerous time for all of the world. Of course, we also see the democracy in crisis. The international magazine or those journals says how democracy ended or how democratic democracies died, everything happened, and what happened possibly for those also riparian regions increase, and what the degrees of democracy for the rest of the world. And how about in China? During the past few years, there is broad concern about what happened in China, especially what the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, will do go forward. You see, like 2 months ago, the lockdown in Shanghai caused a lot of tension. And what happened in Hong Kong for the past few years, and even in Xinjiang, or even in all China, the media control. So, I think this grasped a huge attention to the world, what happened in China and what the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, will do in the future. Here, smile to everybody. We are here, we are back. Why we said we are here, we are back? The main purpose of my trip this time, of course, to have speech in Brookings, but also we open our office in Washington, D.C. in the coming Wednesday. Why I say we are back? Actually, KMT had an office in Washington, D.C. since year 2000 to 2008. But we returned to power in 2008, we closed the office. Maybe we miscalculated at the moment. We thought KMT would be always as a ruling party forever. After we lost the power again, 2016, DPP became the ruling party. There was no office KMT here, but DPP still, the ruling party still keep the office in Washington. No voice of KMT in Washington, D.C., no voice of the opposition or to represent people in Taiwan here. I think it's not fair, also not good for Taiwan's democracy. We are mislabeled by some people, or some media says we are pro-China party. It's totally wrong. We are pro-US party forever. Since we inaugurate the party, we fund the party, or we were in power or in opposition. We are the party pro-US, close to US, pro-democracy, pro-peace. We are not the party so-called anti-US party. It's totally wrong. We have to come back to tell everybody in Washington, in the world, we are the party pro-democracy, pro-US, never against democracy. So we will open a new office in Washington the coming Wednesday. Actually, we prepare already for half a year, hopefully in the future. The voice from KMT, the voice from opposition in Taiwan, the voice we present partially from Taiwan, you can hear in Washington. The pivotal role of Taiwan, or we said suddenly Taiwan is so crucial, so critical to the world. It's got the help from the Ukraine war, unfortunately. It's got the tension between US-China because of the policy change or atmosphere change during the past 10 years. I mentioned to my friends in Brooklyn, I said, if year 2008, I stand here, says the engagement between US and China, they say it's right direction. The engagement from west to the east, it's right direction. But suddenly, it's not engagement. Suddenly, it's competition. Maybe it's confrontation. So, the world changed. What's our position? What's our role of Taiwan? And what's the path for Taiwan's forward? You see, for China, from Chinese side point of view, for Beijing's point of view, we have to understand. They think Taiwan is so important because they think Taiwan is after Hong Kong and Macau. They think Taiwan is the last piece for their reunification. Especially Taiwan is after 1894's Sino-China's war, Sino-Japan's war. So it's a very important significance for Chinese people. Of course, it's also a gateway to wider sea path for sea space for Chinese society. And for the US, for the United States point of view, you can see Taiwan is the center of the first island chain. No matter what, it's even the center of the first island chain. Then you can see if United States failure to defend Taiwan's democracy will probably, I cannot say for sure, will probably undermine US leadership for the Western society. I think somebody said probably 70 years ago, UK in the Suez event lost their leadership for Western society. If someday happen, United States cannot do something or cannot defend together for Taiwan, it may happen for US leadership undermined. If People Liberation Army, PLA, control Taiwan Island, maybe a security threat to the US. It's also quite common in Washington today. So you can see that's the strategy for US. Previous one was a strategy for China. Then pivotal in global tech supply, actually also quite critical for the world. Taiwan's advantage, not because of its geopolitics, but also because our high-tech, our IT supply for the world. Just make a commercial. TSMC, the main supply for the world, was funded by KMT's administration, was funded by KMT's president Chiang Ching-kuo, and after then our Premier Sun Yun-quan. So I said, because they are foreseeing for the future, Taiwan's IT industry now dominate the world about 66% of the semiconductor chips for the world. For the high-end one, it's about 95% of the semiconductor chips supplied by Taiwan Semiconductor Company, mainly TSMC and the other several. So you can see Taiwan's semiconductor industry is so crucial, so critical to the global economy and the innovation race. So that's Taiwan's position. Then I said, from US strategy, from China's strategy, and Taiwan's position, then we can see what's the history between Taiwan and the US, mainly led by KMT. We see Dr. Sen Yat-sen, the founding father of ROC, also the founding father of KMT. He found our party actually from United States, from Honolulu and San Francisco. I just visited San Francisco a few days ago. If you visit Chinatown of San Francisco, you can find a lot of footprint of the Dr. Sen Yat-sen at the moment for revolution. And during the World War II, KMT administration, KMT government cooperate with US against the fascism. During the Cold War, KMT administration and the United States together, we cooperate together against communism. So we should say KMT and US government, we are together against those wrong way of the world. Today, Taiwan is not only the semiconductor hub, but also our cultural hub for international society. This one you can see the National Politics Museum in Taipei. It's a fine collection of all Chinese histories treasury. And you can see our Chinese philosophy, population, and even religion. It's all in Taiwan. So we are so proud. I said Taiwan is a mix of Chinese culture, Japanese culture, Western culture, Southeastern Asian culture, but mainly we are the central of Chinese culture still. So from this point of view, we could be the hub for the Western society to the Eastern society. Then, after this presentation, you all know Taiwan's history and the importance of our position in the world. But during this pivotal era, pivotal time, crucial time, what's our decision? What's our choice? We could be a flashpoint of the world, or we could be the stabilizer of the world. If we want to be the flashpoint, some tragedy may happen. If we want to be the stabilizer of the world, I think it's good news for the world. We can still maintain the hub for the culture. We can still maintain the key supplier for the semiconductor. We can still be the stabilizer for the international society. So that's our choice. I don't like this kind of cover stories happen every month on those international magazine or journal. It's not a good commercial for us. So what's the KMT answer to our time? I said, we have to safeguard Taiwan. We have to defend Taiwan first. Because it's under this pivotal time, we would say we have to secure the peace and the stability of Taiwan. So during the past few decades, especially during the Cold War era, or during the confrontation between Taiwan and the mainland China, we have the experience, we have seen the brutality of war and is committed to peace and stability. We know the peace and the stability is more important than everything. Besides this, I know, and we know, if you want peace, you have to prepare the war. Self-defense is the number one for peace and stability. Strong defense and a liberal coalition are required, indispensable for this region's security. That's our promise. We think as even we are opposition, someday we become ruling, we will always insist we have to maintain our self-defense capability and capacity. For the two sides, cross-strait, KMT's position is still under the principled engagement with Beijing for cross-strait stability, threat reduction, and crisis management. So which means dialogue is still needed, contact still needed, engagement with principle still needed. We think that's the best solution. Both self-defense ability plus principle engagement are good for Taiwan's security and for the regional peace. Strengthening our defense and deterrence is our vow and our promise to the people. Recently, American visitors come to Taiwan. I talked to them with my advisors together. We said we have to improve capacity and capability in asymmetric operation with enhanced joint training and exercise, which means under the overall defense concept, asymmetric capacity and capability are both very important for Taiwan. And we have to prioritize our investment, all our defense procurement, acquisition, because we don't have so much or unlimited resources. We have to prioritize our procurement, especially for the coming near term. I would say that one is for 5 to 10 years, so important. For the reserve or for the training, we need a cabinet level, not an agency under the defense, because it will link together with all the ministries together. So I would say we have to enhance to cabinet level to have this reserve mobilization, and we have to reform Taiwan's strength service based on combat support, urban and critical infrastructure defense. All these reform, we will talk the details in the future if there is some speech our advisors, our consultants would like to present to all of you. The democracy. Liberty and democracy is the central of KMT's thinking. It's a founding vision for us. We never step back for anything regarding to human right, liberty, or democracy. We fight with Americans, as I said, in World War II and against communists in Cold War, and our democracy's reform during the past 3 decades, everybody can witness this reform. So we vow to defend Taiwan's democracy and being compromised by any force. As I said, Taiwan should be the intercultural dialogues. Western, Eastern, Southeastern Asia, Japanese, all can, through Taiwan, be the channel, be the hub to dialogue. Even Taiwan can preserve as a hope for Chinese democracy. You know, Taiwan can have the democracy, why not China someday? We have to wait for this happen, but we need Taiwan as a model. Taiwan can also help the West to better understand China, and we can be a channel for all our friends in the Western society to under the Eastern society. So, to protect Taiwan as an open hub, to facilitate the intercultural dialogue, to protect Taiwan as a hub for our high-tech companies, to protect Taiwan as a hub for democracy. So Taiwan could be the hub. Everybody can use Taiwan as a hub. Finally, not the last one, if you visit KMT, why I want to say this one? Because a lot of people ignore this slogan for KMT. If you visit KMT Central, you can see these 9 words in Chinese character. In English, it will be safeguard Taiwan. It will be defend democracy and pursue or fight for our future. You see, KMT's main thinking, this 9 words, just as I talk to you, hold the speech. We safeguard Taiwan. We defend our democracy. We fight for our peace and secure and prosperity future. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm here. It's not only to tear off the wrong label to us, but also to bow to all our friends in Washington, in the world. We were together to fight together, but we were not only from the party's point of view, we were from Taiwan's point of view. Taiwan should make a choice. Taiwan is not a trouble, but a solution for the coming challenges. The topic of our time is not merely deterrence, but also endurance. Not only resisting autocracy, but also enlarging democracy. That's our goal. Thank you.